The Gen Z subreddit is horrifying right now. If you've been over there, you're probably asking yourself, how did this happen? But we know how it happened. There was a documentary a few years ago that outlined how this has happened, and frankly, we ignored it. You may or may not remember the social dilemma, which, if you haven't watched in a long time, I recommend it. It explains a lot of what happened in this election cycle. But what it explains most is something that I know is happening because I have talked to young men who said this happened to them.
Did the red pill ruin Gen Z men and women? 4B feminist. Alpha male gender war. Interesting, isn't it? Arrows incoming. Expected. Go ahead. In my previous video, I mentioned how I realized myself that I should and need to be more accountable and actually try to make more content for younger men. I hope you're focused and on your square. Now, will it work or not? That doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter. This is my point. Beyond certain things, beyond money, beyond postulating and arrogance and all that BS, what responsibility do I have as a millennial man? As a millennial man that talks to men? Many years ago, I realized red pill content is not for younger men. It's for men of a certain age. Let's say later years in college, post-college, upwards. To men that have been in relationships, dating and marriage and whatever. Men that have had more interactions with women. Because the perspective is, I think those men can decipher and break down certain things better because they've had more time too. But I'll finish explaining that in a second. Let's get back to what she was saying.
That is from a very young age. Gen Z has been online and they have been exposed to radicalization on websites like YouTube. They were fed Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson. I have talked to young men who said they started watching this stuff in elementary school. And if you're thinking, well, the millennials had internet, there was 4chan, you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of millennial men, and correct me if I'm wrong, millennial men, but I think a lot of them went through a cycle themselves of being like a little radicalized and pushed to sexist content. The difference is that millennial men were exposed to the real world at the same time that they were online.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point. Comment, millennial men, comment. How accurate is what she said? I mean, do you agree with what she said? I mean, I see this myself. For all the merits of the red pill, you can see that it has a lot of flaws as well, and you can and should take a lot of things with a lot of salt, to be honest. But then again, it's because a lot of men our age have experienced enough real life before the internet to understand enough of a balance. Like a lot of men our age have been there and done it. Some of you got kids, some of you been married. But the point is, have lived long enough to see the reality of a lot of women ourselves. Whereas a lot of Gen Z men that grew up on the internet, they didn't. They're just literally seeing and hearing what a lot of men are saying on the internet. What a lot of men are saying on the internet, the conversations a lot of men are having on the internet. And indeed, yes, as grown men, a lot of us are having these conversations. But this is why I've always thought, and this is admittedly why I didn't aim videos at younger men, because I always thought a lot of this stuff is for older men. It's for grown men. An unpopular point, I think a lot of young men need to actually go through certain things to understand, okay, yeah. And just seeing the amount of Gen Z men that voted one way in this election is just like, whoa, damn, whoa, easy. I remember videos from like about 6 years ago where men were celebrating teenagers becoming red pill, and I was like, this is nothing to celebrate. It will not be healthy in a world where a lot of teenagers start to become red pilled. Now, some wouldn't understand why, but that's the point we're making here as millennials, Gen Xers and older. We've lived long enough to have a broader understanding on certain things. Even if you're a grown red-pilled man yourself, you understand what you can and take. You can leave and, I'm going to leave this. I can take that. Yeah, that's good advice, good information. Yeah. I resonate with that. But that over there is bollocks. We've had time and lived long enough to be able to decipher things better than some of these young men who grew up with iPads and iPhones in their hands. The point amongst all this waffling is young men are the future. As millennial and Xer, boomer, as older men in general than these younger men now, these Gen Z men, it will not benefit us at all if young men don't become better. And this is the point I'm making. Young men, I believe, need to go beyond everything that us as millennial men are doing, including the red pill.
They had real friends, they were dating, they talked to women, they realized this is nonsense, they moved past their little edgy stage. And I think that's what people expected to happen with Gen Z. But the reason it's not happening is that Gen Z is dating in severely lower rates. They don't have third places where these young men hang out. This is a generation of men who spends time at home, on the internet, on video games. So Gen Z doesn't realize, and I don't know how they will ever realize, that they are living in an echo chamber because they were born into the echo chamber. They do not have the life experiences of other generations.
Now, I'm not saying I agree with everything this young woman's saying in this video. I'm not saying I agree with everything she's saying. I'm just using her waffling as jumping off points because she's making some decent points. She is actually making some decent points. And this is my point about taking our feelings out of it as grown men, as older men. Because think about it for a second. As millennials, a lot of boomers and older, they can't say anything to us, can they? No. You'd cuss them out, wouldn't you, as a millennial? Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would. You know you would. I know you would. I would. You know, not to be rude, but we get the point, don't we? For the way as millennials, we hold on to the fact and gloat about the fact how futuristic and modern and super we are, Gen Z men themselves have to get to a point where they surpass what we are as well. It's not good for them to become stagnant. And when I mean for them to move beyond what the red pill is, I'm not saying for them to abandon the good points for modern men in that. No, no, no. Embrace that. Embrace the good points. But to go beyond to understand there are certain things that need to be left behind in this modern world going into 2025. And it's to be honest to young men. A lot of millennials, a lot of millennial men are bitter. They're dusty. They are scorned and have been there and broken by the relationships and marriages and whatever. And a lot of them do have a certain perspective. However, the point is they have that perspective carved over time. And again, it is dangerous for young men to adopt very heavy, perspectives from men who have lived long enough to understand what they're talking about. But these younger men are just hearing it. Because, no one wants to be a beta male, do they? Yeah. However, when everyone's an alpha male, no one really is, are they? Can you even tell who is anymore? Yeah.
We know facts. Marriage is overwhelmingly unsuccessful. It is way more dangerous than skydiving. Yes, you die from the skydiving, but the chances of a catastrophic skydiving incident is like 0.0003, and one where you die is 0.00001. It's like very limited, the chances of dying from skydiving.
Now, this perspective here, as grown men, a lot of grown men would understand this. They'd understand it firsthand, and they'd understand it firsthand multiple times because they would have got married multiple times. But yeah, more grown men, perspectives like this, we understand whether we've experienced it directly ourselves or we've had family members, friends who have gotten married and divorced, and you've seen it. So my point is, as older men, we're going to break down what this guy's saying in a different perspective compared to younger men. Younger men would hear it and be like, oh yeah, my God, I got to be careful, all this type of stuff. And indeed, yes, as younger men, you got to be careful. I don't agree with marriage, nah, in modern times, nah. You can get effed over. It is more dangerous than skydiving. However, my point is perspectives. Perspectives. As older men, we're hearing this speech from a different perspective than younger men would. But as older men, would we take it into account that younger men would be hearing something slightly different? Some would say this guy is angry. Why is he so angry making this point? He does seem angry. However, some would say, no, he's being passionate. He's a lawyer. This is his job. He deals with this every single day of his life. He's a lawyer, He deals with divorce every single day. So he understands that he can be passionate about it. He should be. Why would you want to hire someone that isn't passionate about their job? Exactly. So again, perspectives. Every older man does not owe it to younger men to kind of like guide them and let them know that, some of this stuff is bullshit. Understand when to leave the bullshit on the table and take what's healthy and nourishing for you. Some older men don't care. They don't need to care. But I think that's where a lot of us as older men go wrong. We probably need to care more. But it's like too many young men are red pill now. Too many young men. And people act like the opposite of being a red pill man is to be some soft wimp pansy. Oh, you're not alpha, you're beta. Really? But that is the challenge to younger men. To see the BS of even what millennial men are saying and understand, is that bollocks? How much of that is actually bollocks? Yeah? What from this can I take and make something better? Modern marriage is not good, no. It's not good. But older and younger men are seeing it from a slightly different perspective. And that's just based on time.
Whereas the chances of divorce, again, 56% divorce rate. How many stay together who are unhappy and they just stay together because they don't give up half their stuff or for religious reasons or whatever? This is a technology with an unbelievably bad failure rate.
Do more people die from marriage or skydiving?
I think more people wish they were dead from marriage than skydiving. I think most people's sense of self, many people's sense of self dies as part of an unhappy marriage. It's not a question of will you die. It's that you're alive and not living your life in a way that's enjoyable or
Damn. That's deep. Again, perspective. A lot of us as men understand that, don't we? I understand that. Oh, I understand. Again, perspective. A lot of us as men, our age, older, around our age bracket, we know that firsthand. We've lived long enough to have had relationships that last decades plus. Again, the point. Some of us have had relationships longer than some of these younger men have been alive. Do you understand? So again, it's the point to understand we've had vast more perspectives than a lot of these younger men are doing, yet they've gone to the extreme of being like some of us, and they've barely lived. It's like, yo, young man, you barely lived, bro. Give it time. You've barely got any hair on your top lip, bro. Give it time. On another hand, even in saying that, it is to understand the world we live in now. These younger men aren't growing up in the world we grew up in. So of course a lot of them would be radicalized very easily. A lot of them wouldn't see very much hope in the future. Therefore, they would lean to a lot of these places on the internet, a lot of these content creators and whatever. But in the end, the way I see it now and the way I see it going forward, I don't think it's healthy. I think more balance needs to be created. I think even young men within themselves need to actually start creating some more balance within their own language. A man like Andrew Tate's already rich. He's already who he is. He's already like, most of the young men that listen to him will never get anywhere near to where he is. Like selling fairy tales to women, he's selling a fairy tale to young men. In some way, dudes like that, they're selling the modern Disney, aren't they? They're the modern Disney to young men, selling them a dream, a fairy tale, and a fantasy. Yet these men aren't really getting what they want in life, are they? And that's not even any hate to any content creators, because I don't care. For any of you that do care, understand I don't care. My life is actually too real. You can care though, and waffle and cuss into the ether. No one cares.
A way that's authentic to who you are. And I think a lot of people are doing that as a function of the choice that they made of marriage. When someone says, I'm getting married, why is it impolite to say, why?
Good question.
Why? You're about to do something incredibly dangerous that fails so much of the time. Why not just say, why? I'm not saying, why would you do that? It's stupid. I'm saying, why? Because most people's answer doesn't make any sense. First of all, you're not even allowed to ask the question why. If anything, if you don't say, oh my God, that's so great, you have intimacy issues.
There are general differences between men and women of these tests. So I published a study on 46,000 scans looking at gender, and we're not the same species. Female brains are wired for leadership. They have much stronger frontal lobe function. And the statistic that goes with this is who goes to jail, right? Whose behavior is so bad they have to put you in a cage. Males, 14 times more.
Okay, all right. Some science. Some science. Now, obviously, this guy's a professional. He's a qualified professional, obviously. And he's saying women's brains are more wired for leadership than men's. Okay. And I could say one could beg to differ. Yeah, really, one could beg to differ. However, what I've just done is part of the problem. To a degree, isn't it? For me to just boldly say, oh, yeah, none of these women can lead. Please, better leaders. I'm going to disregard even what this qualified scientist says. Yeah, whatever, bruh. Whatever. You're trying to get clicks and views yourself, whatever. You're catering to women. But how many young men would hear older men make those points and just run with it without ever having first-hand experience themselves? Now, I understand a lot of men say, men don't need to have first-hand experience to understand how dangerous certain things are. Indeed, indeed. But look at my point again. Again, time. The perspective that we have as men with time. A lot of men have seen firsthand, a lot of women in leadership roles have been awful. Because you may have experienced it yourself, having worked under a woman, worked with women or whatever. But a lot of us as men of this age bracket have experienced it firsthand. So we say it boldly because we know it's like, yeah, please. I get it. Some women have better leadership skills, but please. A lot of these women out here, they're too emotional and they fumble a lot. But look at that point I've just made. How many young men would interpret the point I've just made to being like, no women are good at, no woman can lead. No woman ever can lead ever, at all, ever, never, ever. You know, without the perspective that a lot of women couldn't. A lot of women, not really better leaders. But that's not to say none are. You see, as grown men, we may take time to break it down, to explain in more detail the differences between the male and female brain, and to not just say, we got better brains. We got better brains than these dusty garden tools. That's why they have whore minds. They're just like Eve. They can't get enough.
More than females. But their emotional brain is much busier. And so that explains why they're at a significantly higher risk of depression. Structurally, the limbic system's larger in women because it's partly involved in mood, but also deeply involved in bonding and caretaking. And there's not one society on earth where men are primary caretakers for children. You sort of have to go down to penguins before you get that. Seahorses as well.
So forget being generalized. We're hearing it directly from the neurologist's mouth who did the studies, who've in fact determined that we're almost like we're not the same species. Factoring into why there's so much gender wars between the male and female humans, because we are operating from faulty programming that has been socially constructed rather than us looking to nature for how we're supposed to live.
Okay, woman, I see your point, but I'm kind of getting an air of feminist, some feminist vibes going on. She's radiating an aura of feminism, can feel it evaporating through the screen. No, I'm just saying, she probably isn't, but I'm just saying. You sort of her gloating on the superiority of the female brain. We're smarter than men. See, we're better than you men. We're smarter. Really? Really? I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
You know, making fun of single mothers because they don't have their matriarchs is what the real issue is. Because it doesn't matter whether a man is in our life or not. We can do what we need to do. All we have to take is your sperm. So at the core of these
Wow.
conversations is really men feeling insecure because you guys feel useless. And the more women fight for their freedom and independence and show you just how much we really don't need you, the sadder you all become.
And that right there is the dumb narrative that pushes a lot of men towards the red pill. Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like coming full circle. Again, it's almost like it doesn't matter what I say to a degree. I understand that the rhetoric is so strong coming from the other direction, coming from women. Look at this 4B stuff they're pushing so hard post-election. It's like, on one hand, you understand it's sort of pointless, but you can't just leave it there being pointless. You can't just like say, I'm not gonna try because it's pointless. No, the reverse echo chamber is men hearing these women on the internet waffling their anti-male, misandrist, man-hating BS without context. Now, from a lot of women's perspective, they believe they don't need to give context to men like, F you, man. I'm not giving you any context. But women that have been hurt, F you in your context. This woman, obviously, she used a neurologist, obviously, as evidence to make her point. And I'm using her and the neurologist to make my point. Yeah. But the point is, even with this woman gloating about a certain point, her rhetoric in it, the fine details of what she's saying, a lot of young men would hear this woman is just saying that as women, we don't need men anymore. We don't need you as men. You're useless as a man. What use do you have? You couldn't do anything for me. We have our own money. We have our own technology to pleasure ourselves as well. You're useless to me as a man. Without context, a lot of young men are just hearing that without the full context of understanding. A lot of these women are talking absolute crap. A lot of these women are waffling, talking out the side of their head. Don't take everything personal. Don't take it seriously. To fully understand, a lot of these women wouldn't survive without a society of men to keep society going as well. But how many younger men would understand enough context to understand and not take all this stuff personal and serious? Like, oh, please, woman, whatever. Keep talking what is because you're single, you ain't got a man. Yeah. And some dude broke your heart. That's why you're on the internet making this video. Really? We get your point. Different brains, whatever. But really? Again, time enough to add context and look at any point from multiple perspectives.
Much we really don't need you, the sadder you all become. Y'all are just in survival mode, fighting for your life to have access to women that so many don't want to give you anymore because we realize that it's not you who's the god. It's actually us.
You see, there you go. Oh my God. Glorifying the point so much, it would push men towards those places. Those spaces. Third places don't exist anymore for men to just for young men to just go out and interact with a lot of young women. That's why a lot of things are internet based now. Like a lot of social clubs for younger people and just things like that don't exist anymore. Even clubbing is dying. Clubbing's dying, and clubbing was never a good place to kind of meet an actual good partner. You can meet some buddies, but you get the point. So what would a lot of young men think right now when they see all these women 4being it up like no tomorrow? All over the internet. What would young men think without context? To see the cap, see the lie, see the BS, like, oh, whatever, woman, please. Because whereas older men, we've learned to not take a lot of these women seriously. We can laugh a lot of it off. But how much can young men do that? How much are young men fully taking on and taking in everything these women are saying as if it's gospel? Even if they hate it.
Ladies, something has happened in the past day. Have you noticed? It's almost like we collectively found our voice. It's as if we got yanked out of bed and we woke up from this nightmare that was our reality, but we couldn't see that it was a nightmare. And now we see it. It's undeniable. And we're fucking pissed. And because we're so pissed, what are we so good at doing?
What? Lying? Yeah, seriously.
Really good at organizing. We're really good at planning stuff. Well, not me, but a lot of the other ladies are really good at planning stuff. We're really good at connecting community. We're really good at building community. We're really good at making grassroots movements. And I cannot tell you, I always scroll my For You page because I love the creators that I follow. And I have to say, in the past day, their voices are more bold. There's this statement of, I am in this world, this is what I stand for, and this is the community that I'm building. I love that.
Okay. And in being a modern woman who loves that, yeah, a lot of the wording with the new emboldened, more bold, powerful new woman post-election is the 4B movement. Now, again, how are young men seeing all of this? We as grown men are seeing it as well. But understand, young men could be seeing it on a more extreme level than we are. Even if they don't take it fully seriously, they could still be seeing it on a different level than we are seeing it. Oh, look at these women becoming even more radicalized and feminist. We need to maintain and hold strong as men because these women are holding strong themselves. Look at them uniting. They're powering up, uniting like the Power Rangers or Voltron, whatever form of giant robots uniting. You get the point. All right, they're just uniting like giant mechanoid women. You get the point. Analogies, whatever, you get the point. They're coming together en force, en masse, and spitting 4B. Spitting 4B like it's a new mixtape. A lot of women, it's a new modern woman mixtape. Yeah, the new modern woman mixtape. 4B waffling, complaining broads. Yeah, whatever. Trash mixtape. But seriously, young men who are already radicalized, them hearing women making these statements, it would push some men, over the edge even more. It would make some of these men hold it down even more, hold down their fight even more. Hold down their pill even more. I got to hold down the pill. But it's sadly, I think, as an older man, to their detriment as young men. If we talk about balance is healthy. But if we look at the election results, especially for Gen Z men, it's like it's not balanced. I mean, that ain't healthy, man. Come on, that is not healthy.
I would say that we're on the right track. And here's the thing. I do have a weakness for astrology. I'm not an astrologer. But I really feel like, and it's also my culture too, like in these old cultures, I'm Chinese, there's a deep, profound respect for astrology and astrologers. And when I say every single astrologer and then some who predicted a Harris win is saying, guys, just wait. Just wait. Just wait till November 15th. Just wait till December. Just wait. You're going to see things unraveling. And it's going to be not surprising, but it's going to be justice.
Okay.
Because, and I want to remind you, as we are ascending, we are moving into this period where it's the apocalypse. It's the ending. It's the end game. And apocalypse just means, I didn't mean to scare you. Apocalypse just means that things are being revealed. The hidden is being revealed. This would be a really bad time to do illegal stuff. This would be a really bad time.
What, like drugs? Honestly, post-election, I wouldn't be surprised if a few people did a bit of drugs. Yeah, a lot of people seem stressed out, by the results. So, okay, just don't hate yourself.
Time to be a sketchy person because it's all gonna come out. So, my friends, continue sharing your voice. I love it. I love feeling that fire. I just taught a class today on sovereign embodiment, and oh my gosh, we were so on fire because you need to embody your sovereignty. You need to own your body. You need to own your mind. You need to own your energy.
One can't tell the future. Nothing's guaranteed. However, in terms of gender wars, something I'm seeing right now are civil wars within the genders. But is that a good or bad thing? Ham. And I stay.